Hi, it's Olivia, and Happy New Year, Happy 2019. This video will just be me talking about some of the books I've read recently, as well as some of the movies I've seen, if I feel like talking about any. Yeah, there's a couple that come to mind. And I might stick in like a small little update at the end if you care. So yeah, let's just get right into the video. First, I will say the past like 2 months have brought, the past week I've been reading like only young adult fantasy, and you'll see exactly which books. But there's also been quite a variety in the genres. But the first one is a children's book. I mentioned it in my last video, Little Dreamers, Visionary Women Around the World, and I finished it and it was just as delightful as I thought it would be. I also thought it would be like, as I went through, I thought this would make a really good gift. I know the holidays have passed, but if you have a young reader in your life, I think that these books would be really great. The next book I want to talk about was a book I picked up for Nonfiction November, and it's called Being Mortal by Atul Gawande. It's by a practicing surgeon, and he's the one who's writing it, and it's about medicine and how it has impacted how we view and handle death. He talks about how medicine has changed so drastically over the years and how it has improved life, but also like it's really drastically changed how we handle the end of our lives. It's just very interesting, and it's a lot of storytelling. There's a lot of other people's stories he's talking about, and after a while, I have to say, that's one thing, I felt like there was almost too many people he was talking about. I was like, who are we talking about now? But the whole thing as a whole, whatever, you know what I'm saying, I would recommend it. I also listened to another audiobook, and this one surprised me, well actually not really, because everyone had said it was amazing, The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. I was only nervous about this one because I knew it was written in verse, and I wanted to physically look at it, you know? I like to look at the stanzas and where one line starts and ends, but gosh, this was narrated wonderfully. I see why it's getting the awards that it is and the praise that it does, because she really does a great way of narrating her story, and the story itself about finding your voice and just everything about our main character's life, how she develops, it was really sweet. Like sweet and like feel good to me. I really enjoyed listening to this, and it was very short, so I'd recommend it, especially to anyone, but especially like to young teenagers. This next book, I thought I was going to put it off for a lot longer than I did, but obviously, as I'm talking about it, turns out I didn't. Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare. Let me just put it out there. I didn't like Lord of Shadows. I did not like Lord of Shadows. And I didn't know what to expect from this, but I was hit with like a strange nostalgia all while reading this, because honestly, like this series in the Shadowhunter Chronicles, I care less about the characters than in her other series, and anytime we see an appearance from her other characters, specifically from the Mortal Instruments, anytime they make an appearance, I just am filled with joy. There is a lot going on in this book. Like, there are so many different perspectives. Like I said, there's a lot of new characters in this series. Luckily, I did start to actually kind of care about them a little bit, but it was still entertaining. It's almost 900 pages, and I finished this in a couple days because I found it compelling. And I just kept thinking about when I read the first book, City of Bones, like in the middle of the library in like middle school or 9th grade. I was sitting on the floor and I was reading it for the first time. Also, I think it was around the Mortal Instruments that I found BookTube. I think I think I mentioned this before. Christine was the first person I like recognized as a BookTube. Like, she's like the introduction to me to BookTube, and I'm pretty sure it was a review for one of the Mortal Instruments books. And when I finished this and I looked at her channel and she had uploaded some book talks for this, I was just like, aww, memories of like, seriously, like 6 years ago, I remember watching her first book talks for the other books, and it's just, I had a lot of joy while reading this, but there's also a lot of things that irritated me. I can't decide if I want to do a whole separate review, but let me know what your thoughts were on this. This next book, I have not finished, but I feel the need, I really want to talk about it. I'm about halfway through Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. If you didn't know, last year a movie adaptation came out of this, and I feel like it's really important to mention this, because I also want to talk about the movie. I had seen an early screening of that movie, and it was like a couple months before it came out, and I had not heard of this book at all, and I also didn't know what I was seeing, because when at that screening, the paper that we had, it said Untitled Preview. I had no idea what I was watching. And leaving that theater, having zero knowledge of what I was going to be watching, I left thinking, that was strange, but that was interesting and kind of thought-provoking, and it was fun to think about, and so I knew I enjoyed it to an extent. But it wasn't until I watched it again over the holidays a couple weeks ago that I just realized how much I love that movie, and that's not looking at it at all and like how good of an adaptation it is or anything, like just on the movie itself. I truly really enjoyed that movie, and something about it that I noticed another movie reviewer mention is that it's one of those science fiction movies that I think can make you like discuss the ending a lot after watching it with others. So like I said, I watched it on the holidays with my family, and we were talking about it for like 30 minutes after the movie ended, about what the ending meant and what happened at the end. Overall, the soundtrack was incredible. There's this weird, like almost alien foreign sounding theme that they have in that movie. I don't know what instrument they're using which makes the noise, but especially in the climax when they play the music, it was this very weird but good. I love the music that was used in that movie. I'd love to know what you thought of the movie if you saw it, but it was the first time in a while after watching it for the second time that I wanted to read the book. And then I surprised myself again by picking this up. I was one of those people, this Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas, I was definitely one of those people who kind of despised the existence of this book. When I heard what it was about, I was like, why is this not a separate novella that I can just choose to read if I feel like it, which I knew I wouldn't feel like it, but this is required. This is the number 6 in the series, and you have to read this before going to the next book. I was very pleasantly surprised by this book. It felt like the previous book, Empire Storms, I did not like. It was just a mess to me. It was a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of stuff started to seem unclear, and then like at the end it was like this dramatic reveals, and I wasn't feeling it. But this one, I feel like it kind of cleared up some of the stuff, and we get a lot of information here, but also the characters were really enjoyable. Characters who I did not think were going to be interesting. I just really enjoyed this, and after not having been impressed with the most recent books by her, I'd begun to lose faith, but this one kind of reminded me of why I enjoy her books. This really did, and that was the biggest surprise, that this would be the one to remind me why I like her books, why I'm going to continue. Why this is a great segue to the fact that I'm reading this. I finished this one night, like 2 days ago. The next day, I went to Barnes & Noble to pick this up, and here we are a day later, and I'm on page 382. So, I can't put them down. I can't. I need to finish. I need to see how this ends. And yeah, I'll share my thoughts on this once I finish it. Okay, I did also mention I wanted to talk about some movies that I'd seen recently. Some of them include Aquaman, which I thought, like, even though it's got its cliche, cheesy stuff in there, like the things that are very typical of a superhero movie, it was so fun to watch, and the action scenes were really well done, because with action scenes it's really hard sometimes to see what's going on. Like, there's a lot of camera movement, but these ones were so smooth. Whenever something was happening, you can see everything. The camera angles were really good. Yeah, I'd love to know what you guys thought about that. I also saw SpiderMan Into the Spider-Verse, and you know, everyone's raving about the animation of that movie, which I agree with. The animation is pretty insane. But I will say, at first, like when it was starting, I was like worried that it was going to be too much going on the screen. I was like, I don't know about this. And then I got used to it, and like the main bad guy looked so funny. He looked so funny in that movie. Every time he was on screen, I was laughing at him. There's this scene in that movie where it's shown in the trailers. I'm pretty sure it's one of the movie posters. It's where Miles is doing a free fall before he uses his, before he starts swinging, and how the city looks like it's above him, like the angle was stunning. I love that scene so much. That was my favorite scene in the whole movie. I think that's where I'm going to end this. I think I've been talking for a while. If you're still here, hello, thanks for sticking with me. I think I said I'd do a small little update. I know it's been a couple of weeks, and it's sad. It's sad to me. It hurts my soul. In a perfect world, I'd be uploading every week. In a perfect world. But you know, the end of the year did not go as organized as I planned. I hope to start off this year strong and continue it strong with videos. Hopefully I don't have any long periods of time where I'm not making videos again. But all is good in the world right now, so I hope that your year is starting out great and it continues great, and I will hopefully very soon see you again in another video. Bye.